Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. And I drove my four-wheeler out here today, out on some trails out on the back of the Pathfinder School property to look for a place to set up a camp. But I'm also looking for a place to camp a basic class this coming weekend. We've got a basic class coming in on Friday, and we spend the last night in the woods in survival shelters, those guys do, and then we spend the night out there with them. So I'll probably throw my bedroll somewhere out here for that night. Did the same thing last weekend at a private course that we had. And so we spend a lot of weekends and a lot of time out here in the woods, sleeping on the ground, sleeping in the trees if we're hanging, things like that. So we understand what works well and what doesn't. We understand what will give us a good night's sleep versus an okay night's sleep, because as an instructor, you need to get a good night's sleep so that you're fresh for your students the next day, especially when you're getting broken sleep because you're taking shifts on fire watch, things of that nature. What I thought I'd do today is go through the back of this four-wheeler with you a little bit, talk a little bit more about this Born Outdoors bedroll. I did spend an overnight in this bedroll night before last, Sunday night, out here with the students, and the thing worked out fantastic. One thing I want to say about this Born Outdoors bedroll is, you know, one of the biggest complaints I hear about it is, other than, oh, it weighs so much. It weighs 15 pounds. 15 pounds is about 1/3 of most people's pack weight-ish, and 15, at least half anyway, of someone's pack weight. And for me, if 2/3 of my dry pack weight is sleeping material to give me a good night's sleep, I'm fine with that. So 15 pounds isn't that much. It's really the bulk of this system that's the pain, not the weight. And if you got something to carry it on, like I said, if you got some kind of conveyance, it's not a problem at all. Now, as far as the price, you know, I saw a lot of balking about, oh, that thing costs $800 and some. Yes, it does. But if you buy a hammock, a good underquilt, a good overquilt, I'm talking down, a good tarp, ultra lightweight stuff that you're going to use on places like the Appalachian Trail, or you are a camper that camps a lot and you want the best gear, you're going to pay $1,000 for that plus. So in perspective, sleeping on the ground versus sleeping in the trees, if you prefer to sleep on the ground sometimes during the year like I do, then it's not that much to spend to know that you're going to use that thing over and over and over again almost every week, week in and week out, for at least part of the year, and it's going to guarantee you that good night's sleep. And I think I found a system that will do that. So I'm not ashamed to say that I paid, you know, with my discount, over $500 for this, because I think it's going to be a one and done piece of gear. Now, that doesn't mean you can't make something work. I've been doing it all year long out here. I've been sleeping with foam mattresses. I've been sleeping with just blankets on the ground. I've been sleeping with debris on the ground. I've been sleeping with a poncho and a wool blanket, with a poncho and a wooby liner. I've done all kinds of different things out here this year, and they all work, but they're not optimum. This is optimum. I'm not out here trying to do a survival scenario. I'm out here showing you what can be done or can be accomplished if you want to enjoy your time in the woods. And something like this, you're not going to have a great big giant fire in front of you. You don't need that. This thing is plenty warm. So if you're the guy who thinks you need a all-night giant-sized fire to make you comfortable, you probably don't have the right sleep system to begin with. And that is more of a pain in the tail end to keep a fire going all night long, make that thing big enough and long enough to keep you warm. If you're just walking around with some 1.7 R value accordion pad of some kind, and you think you're going to go winter camping with that, you're fooling everybody else and yourself by trying to do that, because without a giant fire, you're not going to sleep well, because conduction is going to get you every single time. So what I'm telling you now is just the way it really is. I'm not trying to BS anybody and say, hey, I can sleep on the ground with nothing, because I can. It doesn't mean I'm going to be comfortable. This makes me comfortable. So let's pick us a spot over here. Let's get us a small tarp set up. I'll show you kind of what goes on as far as what else I carry on this four-wheeler, because I promised you that as well. We talked about the front. We didn't talk about the back. And then we'll get after this Born system and set it up, this Badger bed as it's called, and we'll set this thing up and show you it's not near the hassle everybody acts like it is. All right, so kind of the stuff we didn't talk about on this side-by-side. You know, I've got a 2-quart collapsible canteen of water there. That's kind of like my canteen on the horse type of deal. I keep that thing there all the time. I've got some protective gear up front. And then I move to the back. I've got the Born bedroll in here now. If I had a different bedroll, I'd have it sitting right there. My bedroll I was using up until I got this thing sat right here. And it was basically just an oilcloth combined with a wool blanket, combined with a Swagman roll, combined with a gum blanket. So much more layers in that system and more complicated really than something as easy as this. I keep my M6 Scout right behind that. And then I've got a milk crate attached to this thing that has a first aid kit. Again, I use this when I'm teaching too. So it has to be adaptable for all of that stuff. It has a first aid kit on it, a folding stool, an accordion pad if I need a ground pad of some kind. It's got the ground mat for the Born Outdoor bedroll. And it's got a 20-liter dry bag that just has odds and ends for camping quickly, like a tarp, like a lantern, like a bush pot, like a couple of stakes for the tarp. Those type things are all just shoved in there really quick so that I can camp anywhere on the fly if I want to off this side by side. Now, of course, you can use the rapid deployment ridgeline for this kind of stuff, but this thinner cordage works really well with these ultralight tarps. And I just put a lark's head through there so the bowline's sticking out this side, and I can then use the bowline as my rope tackle for that improvised rope tackle and half-edge tie-off. I'll just bring that over real quick and just tie it off for a second so I can go over and get the other side. And then we can adjust from there. All right, so there wasn't a whole lot to that. We've got basically a lean-to with a flap rolled underneath because this tarp is plenty big. It's like a 10 by 10 tarp. I don't need near all of it for this setup. And then I've got a flap over the top here as well that I can actually pull out if we get a little bit of rain or something like that. I can just put a couple guy lines out, stretch it out, and I've actually got a partial A-frame, or basically a lean with a fly on the front of it. But this gives me the perfect spot for this bedroll. Let's get that dude out and just see how easy it really is. All right, so throw that dude on the ground. All you have to do here is lift up to undo those clips. Pretty simple. Move your flap out of the way. Get her centered where you want her. Roll it out. That's pretty much all there is to it, other than blowing up the air mattress. I mean, it is just exactly that simple. Rolling it up, same thing once you get the air out. So the main thing that takes time here really is the air mattress and nothing else. If you look at this, I just unzipped it. I haven't blown the air mattress up, but I have literally got a quilt, a sheet, and I've actually got a compressible pillow up there that I had rolled up into this thing when I had it on the back of that four-wheeler. So you're talking about a good amount of comfort if you're trying to enjoy yourself in the woods. And this thing is hard-wearing, long-lasting material. I mean, you've got a ground sheet here as well to keep it from rolling leaves up into it, things like that. But it's all waterproof. It's all made to be waterproof. It's all made to be durable. I don't see this thing being a bad investment for anyone if you're serious about camping and you're going to do it a lot. You know, this is not something you buy if you're going to go one weekend out of a year, 5 weekends out of a year. But if you're going to camp weekend and weekend out, things like that, all summer long, you're going to get a lot of use out of it, then this is definitely a worthwhile piece of kit. Like I said, I slept in this thing on Sunday night, going into Monday, and man, oh man, it was a fantastic night's sleep, and it was about 33 degrees, and I was shedding my base layer. I had to take it off because I was so warm. I was down to my skivvies basically in this thing and my sleep socks and nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably set up here again at this spot where I'm at right now. I think this is a good spot to camp the basic class this weekend. So I'll definitely come back out here, reset, film some of this for an overnighter this weekend. I'm not going to spend the night out here tonight. You know, truth be told, and total transparency, I want to spend some time with my wife in between classes. And right now I teach every single week just about. So I'm away from her a lot, and I want to spend some time with her. So I'm not going to sleep out here tonight. I'm going to roll this bad boy back up, come back out here and put it right back in the same place on probably Saturday night. And I'll film some of that for you going into the morning. I'll be out here with my instructors. Maybe we'll get some of that on film as well. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you joining me for this part of the video. I'll make this a two-part situation here. I'll try to get this one uploaded for you tonight. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, all our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to film rolling this thing up for you guys really quick, because I won't be able to film it on Sunday morning because I'll be following students back on a nav course back to camp. Basically, you're just going to keep that thing tight. You've got straps here on the side you can tuck in to the corners that attach it to this ground pad. Just tuck those bad boys inside. Take this thing and just keep these side walls folded in as best you can as you go. Keep it as tight as you can. I like to put my knees on it when I'm rolling it. Just like that. Keep folding everything in. Really not much different than decompressing a regular air mattress, to be honest with you. Looks like I might have had a little air left in it. Maybe not. When I get up here to the top, I generally just zip it off so nothing gets out. And I take this top flap and I pull it over the top. We roll it straight over the top like this. Pull the flap over the top. We'll reconnect. Go through these. Pull them down. I usually get the ends first. And then once I get the initial cinching done on it, I'll straighten the flaps out. And literally that's all it takes. I mean, real time, that couldn't have been 3 or 4 minutes.